Updated the 29th of April 2018, 1950 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Eagles come out on top of historic Western derby. First ever derby at the new Perth Stadium was a match befitting the occasion, with the West Coast Eagles edging a thrilling encounter with Fremantle to win by 8 points. West Coast trailed by 20 points at quarter-time, but 3 goals each to Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy helped lift the Eagles to the 13.1189 to 12.981 victory in front of 56,521 fans. It was the Eagles' 6th derby win in a row. Fremantle goal sneak Michael Walters also faces an extended stint on the sidelines after injuring his left knee. Walters suffered the injury in the first quarter while battling Eagles defender Brad Shepherd for a loose ball, with his knee crashing into the AFL Stadium turf in their duel. He suffered a PCL injury late last season to the same knee. Walters returned to the field early in the second quarter, but was clearly still affected by the injury and promptly returned to the bench in his final act of the day. Eagles captain Shannon Hearn, 30 disposals, and Dockers midfielder Lachie Neale, 35 disposals, were tied winners of the Ross Glendinning Medal as best of field. Tensions were frayed between the two clubs earlier in the week when Fremantle threatened to scrap the medal. But a compromise was eventually reached, with the name of a past Dockers great to be added to the medal in time for the Round 20 Western Derby. Kennedy, whose 3 goals all came from tight angles, booted the first of the match to become West Coast's record goal scorer. The opening term was an intriguing tactical battle, with Fremantle surprisingly coming out on top on the scoreboard despite being forced to defend for long periods. West Coast won the inside -50 meters battle 17-7, but the Dockers scored from each of their 7 entries to take a 27-7 lead into quarter-time. Darling pulled the Eagles back into the contest with 3 goals in the second quarter, and by half-time, West Coast was in front by 8 points, and were 33-14 in winning the inside 50s. West Coast led by just 6 points after an even third quarter, and managed to hold off a spirited Fremantle outfit in the final term. Tigers see off Magpie charge to further assert dominance. Richmond has reaffirmed its status as the AFL's masters of pressure, breaking clear of Collingwood to win by 43 points. The Tigers kicked half their goals in the last quarter and stayed top with a 16.17, 113 to 10.10, 70 victory on Sunday at the MCG, the biggest game between these two rivals since the 1980 Grand Final attracted a crowd of 72,157. The margin did no justice to the Magpies, who took it right up to the reigning premiers in a pulsating clash. Tom Phillips was running into an open goal with about 10 minutes left in the last quarter and, had he not slipped, he would have reduced the margin to only 13 points. But Richmond pounced, racing the ball up the other end for a goal. That was the start of a 4-goal run that blew out the margin and ensured Richmond's 12th straight win at the MCG. The two teams were coming off short breaks after their Anzac clashes, and Collingwood, who lost James Aish in the third term to injury, wilted late. Richmond youngster Jack Higgins snapped a goal near quarter-time, and Magpies defender Lyndon Dunn cannoned into him as he celebrated. Higgins was given another shot at goal and he converted, giving the Tigers an 8-point lead at the first break. Collingwood was matching Richmond's famed manic pressure, and they kept pace with the Tigers through the second term, taking an 8-point lead the main break. Richmond thought it had a goal late in the second term, but a score review ruled it was touched. There was some confusion over the incident, given Collingwood defender Lyndon Dunn clearly did not touch the ball until it was over the goal line, but there was speculation it was touched off the boot. Collingwood lost Aish to a knee injury early in the third term, robbing them of a crucial interchange rotation. But the Magpies kept pressing, taking an 8-point lead, and defender Braden Maynard even withstood one of Dustin Martin's trademark, don't argue, fend-offs. Maynard limped off in the last term with a sore ankle, but played out the match, while Ben Reid was also injured in the final quarter. Tigers captain Trent Cotchin was prolific in the third quarter with 10 possessions, and slowly, his team took control. 2 goals to Josh Caddy gave Richmond an 11-point lead at the last break. He kicked another at the start of the last term, and another 2 followed for the Tigers, meaning a decisive 5-goal run either side of three-quarter time for the reigning premiers. Collingwood rookie recruit Flynn Appleby, the cousin of golfer Stewart, made his AFL debut as a late replacement for Tom Langdon. Managed Chris Mayne played his first game for the Magpies since round 3 last season and worked hard as a defensive forward. Caddy kicked 4, while Jack Riewoldt and Dan Butler booted 3 each for the Tigers, and Cotchin was outstanding, while Collingwood midfielder Adam Treloar backed up from his Anzac medal with 42 possessions. Demons claim crucial win over Dons in scrappy match. A flaky Essendon has shown it remains a long way from AFL finals contention, rolling over in the third quarter of a 36-point loss to Melbourne at Docklands Stadium. The Bombers led at halftime, but conceded 7 goals to 1 in Sunday afternoon's third term on the way to a 16.12, 108-10.12, 72 defeat. It continues a worrying trend for the Bombers, who have been beaten this season in the third quarter of every game. Underrated defender Neville Jetta starred with an outstanding shutdown role on Essendon dangerman Anthony McDonald Tipungwuti, while Christian Salem, 27 disposals, and debutant Charlie Spargo, 2 goals, also impressed. Ruckman Max Gawn was quiet in the first half but had a huge third term, slotting 2 check-side goals and racking up 16 of his 42 hitouts. Melbourne's first victory since round 3 lifts it back within sight of the top 8 and will be a major morale booster ahead of winnable games against St Kilda, Gold Coast and Carlton. Coming off a 4-day break from their disappointing Anzac Day loss to Collingwood, Essendon looked by far the better team in the first half, with Andrew McGrath and David Zaharakis using their speed to open up the game. McGrath had 19 disposals up to halftime and Zaharakis 17, but neither had a substantial impact when the game was on the line in the third term. The Bombers were outscored 12 goals to 5 in the second half. Many had expected Essendon to make a big finals push this year, but with the season almost a third of the way through, the Bombers are 14th on the ladder with 2 wins and 4 losses. The performances of big-name recruits Jake Stringer, 3 goals, and Evan Smith, 22 disposals, 2 goals, were a positive, but Joe Danaher, 0.3, was again well down on last season's All-Australian form. Melbourne spearhead Jesse Hogan had an injury scare in the third quarter when he hobbled from the ground after landing heavily on his right ankle. The 23-year-old returned to play out the game and finished with 8 disposals and 2 goals. AAPA